My husband went home to Portugal for the week, and so I decided if he's getting on a plane, well then I too am getting on a plane, but to Slovenia. A big part of traveling is eating, and so here's everything I ate and drank in 72 hours while in Ljubljana. The first stop was a small hole in the wall that served traditional Slovenian dishes. Thankfully, we got there right when it opened, so we were able to sit in one of the two seating areas. We got the jota and the klobasa, which was a sauerkraut stew with sausage. It was such a nice warm escape from the rain and cold, not to mention that it tasted a lot like kimchi jjigae, which is a Korean kimchi stew. That actually blew my mind, and I think it's a dish that a lot of Koreans would actually enjoy. Ljubljana is beautiful to walk around. It has a castle on the top of a hill, and you're surrounded by these old buildings, so you feel like you're walking in a Disney princess storybook scene. We were actually walking to our next destination, which was this bar. And one of the things I love to do when I travel is actually to go to bars that house local microbrews, and the Slovenian craft beer scene is growing. But this place also had beers from the microbreweries outside of Slovenia, like the Garden Brewery, which is located in nearby Croatia. I only wish that they had some tasting options so I could try all the flavors. We then headed back to our hotel for some R&R. Before, when I traveled, I would try to do as many things as possible and it was never restful. Now, I always build in time to go back to the hotel to rest. After a nap, we headed to a wine bar because I've heard so much about how delicious Slovenian wines are. I tried an orange wine, aka a macerated wine, and also a white wine. And I'm not sure if it's because I'm just not a huge wine person, but the wines felt more bitter and acidic. And let's just say that for the rest of the trip, I'll just stick to Slovenian beer. But hey, it was a new experience. After the wine, we were really looking for something warm and soupy because the whole day was nonstop rain. And we were surprised to find a Korean restaurant here, so you know we gotta check that out. We got the tofu soup and spicy pork belly, and I was a little concerned this place wasn't authentic because they charged €4 for kimchi, but the food was legit. Now you might be wondering why we are eating Korean, but actually, living in Europe, it's hard to find good Korean restaurants, so when I travel outside of the Netherlands and there's Korean food nearby, I go to it. But also, aside from the jota and dumplings that we didn't get to try, I felt there was a lack of Slovenian restaurants in Ljubljana. The next morning started off with a hotel breakfast, and the older I get, hotel buffets are the highlight of my trip, and we needed a good breakfast because we were heading to Lake Bled. The weather again was rainy, but that meant less crowds, and after we walked some and took a ton of photos, we settled into a cafe to avoid even more rain and grab a snack before our ascent to the lookout point. Lake Bled is famous for their blood cream cake, so that's exactly what we ordered here. They say that one lap around the lake is enough to actually burn off the calories of a piece of cake. The cake was creamy and amazing and actually tasted very much like Portuguese desserts that are generally also made from eggs, sugar, and milk. And well, as you can see, I could not put down my fork. After the cake, we were ready to start our hike up to the lookout point. In retrospect, it was pretty dangerous because the constant rain meant that the rocks were super slippery and there was a small stream of water running down. To get to the top, we also had to hold onto some ropes that I obviously didn't film because my hands were busy grabbing on for dear life. But anyways, the views were 10 out of 10 not worth on a rainy day, but I'm still pretty proud we made it to the top. Also not filmed was how near the end of the loop, there was a road closure and we had to detour up a super muddy hill. I ended up slipping and my hands were caked in mud, and yeah, basically I deserved this next dish I had, which was a venison goulash, and I chugged that all down with a beer. When we finally got back to the hotel, because we walked over 20,000 steps, we were in no condition to venture out for dinner. Thankfully, we had this Thai takeout near our hotel. Babu was super friendly, and though his Thai food tastes like a mix of Indian and Thai, it was still really delicious. And the next morning, we had another round of hotel breakfast, and before we left for the airport, we tried this craft coffee place called Stow to Go. My friend who is a coffee fiend recommended it and said it was the best coffee he's ever had. But I think like the wine, the coffee here was too acidic and bitter for my taste. But if you like this kind of coffee, then this is definitely the place to go because the barista here knows her stuff. I really enjoy Ljubljana and I would love to come back here again. It was super peaceful and actually one that I think is great for solo travel. 10 out of 10, I recommend.